Hello and welcome to the Codec Moments Podcast. I'm Andy Brown at Clinical Andy on Twitter, and joining me today is the lovely, I don't know, has this dip sky blue, who's it not you, Ali Cornwolf.
Hello.
And Dr. Matthew Holt.
Hello.
How are you both?
I'm a little blurry-eyed, but yeah, I'm good, thanks.
So we were on very strict orders that we had to be here at 10 p.m. to start recording because we're going to do it at 10. We have to start bang on at 10, be ready to record. This is because this is my fault. I said I need to be a bit later.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm there, bang on, 10, ready to record. Matt joins in after about a minute or so. Ali turns up, what time was it? Quarter past 10?
Yeah, about 15 minutes late. I think
15 minutes late, yeah.
Having a little nap on the sofa.
Oh, you know.
So
I've got no excuse.
Yeah.
I haven't even got kids or anything. I'm just lazy.
So with us finally, at least.
we can talk about what we've been playing.
Yeah, I think it's actually been discounting the 2 or 3 specialist episodes. It's been a while since we've actually talked about games that we've been playing, and I'm interested to know what's been most recent on your playlist.
My playlist.
Either of you. I will take an answer from anyone.
I'm still playing The Division 2, so I'm not going to go into any great detail about that because we've talked about that ad nauseum.
Yep.
And then, Dangerous Driving.
Oh, yes.
I've been playing quite a bit of Dangerous Driving, which is really, really scratching that Burnout 3 takedown itch.
So how did you find getting back into it? Because I had a peculiar set of feelings when I started it up, but I'm interested to know how you got on with it.
Once I remembered that you don't need to approach it like an actual racing game, like properly braking into corners and accelerating out, and that you could just basically hold down the boost button as long as you were driving into oncoming traffic, it kind of clicked.
Yeah.
It's basically ABB, always be boosting.
Yeah, pretty much the same. It's been a while since a pure Burnout game, and I kind of got the same. And I think I did the first few races and just went, I'm not sure I'm enjoying this. And then it was the first heat wave event. Yeah, you've got essentially permanent boost.
Where you have to hold down the boost, otherwise you end up about 40 seconds behind.
Yeah. And I went, oh yeah, I remember how to play this now. And from that point on, started to really enjoy it. I find in the races that the AI is a bit, that the rubber banding is annoying. But in the face-off ones where you'd expect the rubber banding to be really annoying, actually it works as a normal racer and you can get ahead, which is quite good. So it's good arcade fun.
The moment that I realised it had kind of all come back to me was, when you're playing a racing game and you think, right, I need to work out where the apex of the corner is. I need to work out where I'm going in and coming out of this corner to keep the maximum speed. It was the point at which I stopped thinking like that and I started thinking, how can I best handle this corner so I can kind of slam somebody into the wall as I'm going?
Or use the barrier just to get around it.
Yeah, exactly. How can I best perform a takedown as I go around this corner? That was when I realised I was really enjoying it again.
I think it's like the first road rage event.
That's me, really, to be honest.
Okay, fair enough. Ali?
Again, other than the Division 2, I've one game I've picked up and the other one that I've, if you like, inherited through the Game Pass. So there was a free play weekend of WWE 2K18, but on the Xbox, not on the Switch. And I downloaded this free weekend and it was really good. So I ended up purchasing that. So I've been playing the story mode in that, which is quite nice actually.
Okay, so actually, let's take a couple of minutes on this because our last episode that came out was a fighting game podcast, and one of the things that was explicitly mentioned by our special guest was that they just don't get on with wrestling games at all. So tell us a bit about it. How do the wrestling games nowadays actually work?
They're kind of a hybrid between the various iterations that we've had. So I know when they first came, when they very, very first came out, I think they were fairly button bashery, if you like. And then they went quite technical, so you had to press certain almost combinations to pull off moves.
Okay.
Then they went to the button bashing side again, and then it's like a hybrid now. And there's sometimes like little mini games within to get you, so you can do chain wrestling.
Right.
So where you whip round the back of someone and then you can go down and take a leg and then go around to the front and, put them into a submission, and you can do a bit of back and forth in that. It kind of goes into like a little mini game almost.
Right.
And the same for doing a submission. There's like little games in that. But the controls are fairly simple. You kind of press X for, or square as it'd be for a strike. And then you can press and hold, and you can do different directions with it to do different moves. And then you can press and hold it to do a stronger attack. And then the same with the grappling as well. But then as you move around the ring and the area, there are different moves that trigger because you're at the turnbuckle or they're hanging off the ropes depending on their position.
Yeah.
So it sounds more complicated than what it is. It's basically you've got 8 moves per button, but those moves change depending on the character's position and stuff.
Oh, okay.
But I quite like them. I've not played one for a little bit because when THQ kind of went under, 2K brought it off them and they upped it a little bit, but it's never seemed to be until, I would say, this iteration or maybe the last one. It's not been up there with the rest of the 2K games. I know the basketball one, it is held in quite high standard for the people that play that game, and the story mode's meant to be quite good and different things. I've not played it personally, but no, this is really good. It looks really realistic, with still a little bit of like a cartoony tongue-in-cheekness to it. But the career mode that I'm playing is quite good. You start off as like an indie character, so you're doing all the indie circuits and some really random like school gym matches, and then you end up going into NXT and then into WWE and stuff. So yeah, it's quite good. Enjoying it.
Got a fully fledged career in it as well.
Yeah, and there are other modes as well. So they have like showcase modes where you play matches throughout someone's career.
Okay.
And there's certain objectives that you have to meet, and then they actually splice in some of the commentary that happened on that match and different things. So yeah, and there's so much to do in it. It's crazy, but yeah, I just thought I'd pick that up and give it a go. Why not?
Nice.
And then the other one, which recently came on Season Pass, Xbox Season Pass, because there's quite a few games coming out this month even. But it's Prey.
Ah.
Oh yeah, that's great.
Yeah. So I picked up the demo. Oh God, has this been out a year? Maybe 2?
It's actually 2 years. 2 years in about a week or two, I think.
Is it? So yeah, I picked it up and it was just one of those ones that's always been on my radar. Not sure if it was a bit too horror-y for me. But then if Andy can play it, I can play it. So
that's a good yardstick.
Yeah, well, I think we're bad as each other with those things. So I was a bit worried about, the mimics jumping out at you and different things like that. But it's really good. So I don't know how much time I've put into it, but I've rebooted is it the Looking Glass?
Yeah.
So I've done the Looking Glass first bit, then I've gone back and rebooted the stuff, and then I've gone back and watched the rest of the message, and then I've got to go and, is it kill some people or find some stuff about some other people or something?
Yeah, that's the general premise of your point to point, is go and find out some stuff to get through the next bit. But yeah.
But I'm really enjoying it, and I think I'm barely scratching the surface at the minute. I've not got any upgrades as such. Is it the microchips that you can install and stuff? I've done the other bits.
Then you've got
like
the neuromods,
and
the alien. You get the Typhon upgrades as well, don't you?
Yeah.
Because I think when I played through it, I avoided the Typhon upgrades. I stuck to neuromods because
there's a trophy for not
yes
taking the alien upgrades, isn't there?
Yes, there is.
I thought it was a trophy for not taking either.
No, you can have the neuromods. Yeah,
but I thought the reason I didn't is that if you've got alien DNA, your own sentry turrets are not very kind to you.
True.
So
yeah.
I thought from a sensible point of view, maybe I shouldn't get shot at by my own side.
See, I don't know how far I'm into it. maybe like a quarter of the way in, maybe?
It's, you know what, it's really hard to say because it felt like, not in a bad way, but it felt like it went on forever.
I think that's because there's so much to do.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I've put a lot of time into it but not got anywhere.
And the backtracking nature of the station and everything else, and when you open up certain abilities and being able to go and do other things.
Yes.
It does extend it, but it gets harder and harder as you're going through it. There's a few points later on which I'd really love to hear your thoughts on it, given you're not a horror game fan. And they're not necessarily horror elements, but they are just like, what? Moments.
Yeah, and the bigger guys that you come across and start firing lightning at you or whatever.
Yes.
Until I've started now to pick up some actual weapons and things, they were quite hard because when they're firing that, you've got your goo gun and your wrench. Yeah, it's a bit interesting.
Yeah.
But to me, it feels very Deus Ex. With like the mods, how you can upgrade different things and the hacking and. Because there's like moving the obstacles around when you're strong enough and things like that. Yeah. It's a bit Deus Ex, but it's also very BioShock as well, I think. Yeah, and I scared myself the other day because I was trying to pick something up off the table and picked the table up and slammed it into my own face or something. Stuff was going around. Oh, what's
going on? It's that point after a couple of hours playing it when you walk into your own kitchen, you don't trust the mugs.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah. So it's really good, and it's nice that I think every so often I bang on about the Game Pass, but for the price it is, I can't remember how much it is at the minute. You can get 3 months for £1 if you've never used it. But the amount of games that are coming to it, because I think that the rest of this month we've got, and there's not long left, Monster Hunter World or Universe, whatever it is, World coming to the pass. We've had Prey this month, and there's a few other games coming to it. So it's a valuable asset. It's not doing anything for my backlog because it just keeps adding these games to it. But yeah, it's probably one of the better services out there. What about yourself, Matt? What have you been playing?
A couple of bits. Outward, I played that. I want to say survival RPG, but it's not really an RPG, or it doesn't feel like one. It doesn't feel like the leveling or upgrading that you usually get, but it is very much a survival game. Bit of a crafting game. Felt a little bit Conan Exiles, but without being online. An interesting one. It's really hard to say whether it was good or bad, because I think if you sort of spend 5 minutes with it and you kind of go, well, this doesn't look much better than something from 2 generations ago. But it was strangely compelling when you got into it and you started doing some of the quests and exploring the lands, and you find yourself getting sucked into the world and sort of really enjoying what you're doing. And then it would tend to hit just a wall where you go, I just cannot beat these enemies. And you suddenly realise that actually the game's designed to be played in co-op, and you can't do it on your own. But it's a weird one. It was a weird one because there was quite a lot I liked about it, but there was quite a lot that I thought it just was obtuse. And the best example of it is the tutorial mission. And it's not even a mission, it's just a standalone tutorial, which I think we talked about a couple of episodes ago, wishing that games had that so you could go and do it and figure out how it worked. You have like a tutorial bit that you load up, and as you step through the tutorial, it teaches you the basics of what it's meant to do and your survival and combat and everything else. And it gets to a point where I think it's teaching you like antidote potions. All you're doing is picking up off a table, and for no reason and with no warning, it makes you walk over a trap that kills you instantly.
But at least you learned.
But then you have to reload the entire thing and start again.
That's quite irritating.
It is irritating for a standalone tutorial mission. It should have just respawned you or done something. But it's
or just said, "Oh, stop! There's a trap."
Yeah, a bit of warning, because it's only like the 5th or 6th element of the tutorial along. It's not like it's done loads of this stuff. So I found that quite frustrating, if I'm honest. I thought that's really poor design, and it's not like a Dark Souls type game. Right. I say that, but actually, in fairness, when you died in the game, it didn't kill you. It came up with some nice little excuse on why you weren't dead, and kind of respawned you nearish to where you died with all your kit with you. You didn't lose it all. So it wasn't totally unfair. But when you find yourself in that kind of loop of dying every 2 or 3 minutes, and it's a 2 or 3 minute load time as well, each time it hit a point where I thought, I'm not really having fun with it.
Yeah, it's not fun when it forces you to die almost, or it takes you ages to figure out how to get around it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Contrasting to that, I've been playing God's Trigger, which
twin stick.
It's twin stick
Yeah.
from Techland Publishing, developed by another team, and that is one hit, one death.
Oh, right.
But because it's instantaneous, as soon as you die, you restart checkpoint in a flash. You just constantly going back at it and at it and at it. You don't mind dying in that instance.
So you've gone from a survival game where you can't die to a twin stick shooter where you can't help but.
You can't help but die. Yeah, it's think Hotline Miami, and that kind of top-down puzzle game. But you play 2 characters if you're doing it on your own, or you take a character each if you're doing it in co-op. One devil, one angel, basically taking on the 4 horsemen as the something terrible has happened up above or down below, and you're trying to figure out what. And it's, you know what, one of the most stylish top-down twin sticks I think I've ever played. I've really been enjoying it an awful lot. And that constant death element actually doesn't frustrate at all. You just end up treating every section like a puzzle. How do I do this? And you have a variety of powers and weapons and abilities to use, and just mix them up and see where it goes.
I was about to say, does it feel as much of a puzzle as Hotline Miami? Because that was exactly it with that. You died a lot, but every time you died, you felt like you were one step closer to working out the sequence of events in that particular room to get through it.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. It feels like a puzzle more than anything else. And when this podcast come out, should be a review up, but it has been really good fun. And I do recommend it. Actually, if you're looking for almost a short blast action game, it's really good for it. Levels up to, depending how fast you get through them, you're talking 5 minutes to half an hour. It just depends how good you are at strategizing and using the abilities and figuring out the right way through.
Cool, that sounds really good. Anything else?
Yeah, just one more. I did a preview of Etherborn.
Okay.
Which is a 3D physics puzzle game. I say physics puzzle game. It's more about environmental physics than anything else. But just imagine living in an Escher painting.
Oh, no.
Okay.
And that's it. That's it. Gravity changes depending what surface you're standing on. Only certain surfaces allow you to rotate round objects. You know, if it's curved, you can walk round it. If it's a square edge, you'll fall off. And it's just a brilliantly designed game to absolutely screw with your mind and lose all direction and knowledge of what's up, down, left, or right. Really good. I think I played the first 3 levels in the preview, and it was it's one I want full game of now.
It sounds like it would make an amazing VR game.
Oh God. Oh, it could be quite sickening in VR, because some of the perspective shifts when you step over a surface, or you actually just let go. You don't realise it's a sharp edge and you just plummet off into nothingness. It's like, oh, no, that could be quite worrying. But no, it is really good. Watch out for that one. I think it's out in the summer. And it is. From what I played so far, I really enjoy it. I just wanted to keep going back and play more.
Interesting.
If you want to check out Matt's reviews of Outward and God's Trigger, then you can go to codecmoments.com and look at our reviews. And are you writing anything about Etherborn or?
Yeah, there's a preview up, thoughts on that and some pictures. And I think the best way to explain it is just watch the YouTube trailer, because I have an attempt, but it just doesn't make sense. Watch it rather than read it. That's probably the better way to deal with it.
It'll warp your fragile little mind.
Yes.
All right, good stuff. So we've come together today to talk a little bit about some gaming news that's kind of all come out in the past couple of days.
Not been a quiet week, has it? Did anyone think we were near some kind of show or something with the amount that's actually come out? Even though we're genuinely not.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, it's only April. It's a bit early for the pre E3 froth, isn't it?
Yeah.
Was that June? June E3?
Yeah. I've got to suggest that we probably start in order of interest. And I'm going to offend somebody no matter what way we do it. So
yeah. So pick. You may as well just throw a dart at it and pick it. Someone will still be offended.
I think we should start talking about Forza Street.
Yeah, can do.
Because that's what Matt's put down on the list. So Matt, you obviously have a desperate need to talk about Forza Street.
I didn't put it first on the list.
No, but let's build up with some anticipation.
Yeah, start at the bottom. Yeah, I saw this in fairness briefly on Tuesday morning before I went off to work, and thought that given we've done some Forza dedicated podcasts, we've got a big Forza fan in Ali. That actually, what is the potential of a Forza mobile game? Because this is what it is. It is only on Windows at the moment, but it's coming to Android and iOS. And Forza Street, and I know I'm pronouncing Forza incorrectly, and I'm going to continue pronouncing it like this all the way through.
I say Forza. It's supposed to be Forza.
Oh, is it? I didn't know that.
Yeah, because it's Italian, isn't it?
Yeah. But we're going to forget at some point, so we'll just stick with the incorrect pronunciation.
I apologise. I genuinely didn't know that. You were telling me it's not Porsche next.
It's not. But.
So, as a mobile game. Go on, Ali. What do you think? And actually, given it's a new title, I figured you did a little bit of research and would know.
No, couldn't give a.
You've not even looked.
I generally couldn't give a hoot.
Right. Okay. So it's as far as I gather, it is a racing game where you don't actually steer or accelerate. You hit buttons on the screen to perform moves or something like that.
It's just like a quick time event racing game.
Pretty much. It's like every other racing mobile game. It looks okay. If they released it as like a something to rival Need for Speed Underground, which any racer worth his salt, like whether it's arcade racing, sim racing, they all go back to those games because they love them. They had an amazing soundtrack and they're loads of fun.
Right.
And you could, do not tuning, but like build up your car and do different things and stuff. And everyone loved those games, whether it's Underground 2, blah, blah, blah. It looks a lot like that, but on a mobile. And who cares, really? have they? I think they've missed the mark. If it was maybe 5 years ago, then yeah. But when was the last time you played a racing game on your mobile phone that wasn't Motorsport Manager?
Never, if I'm honest. Never.
Yeah.
Yeah, same here, but that's us, isn't it? I don't. Is there a market for this?
Well, I don't think so. Personally, I think, people will play it, let's be fair. Yeah, people will play anything, but I think it's going to be riddled with microtransactions. Weird.
It struck me as a really odd announcement.
This Forza Street promises a long list of cars to collect and upgrade, which does smack of the microtransaction model, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit strange. Like I say, if they'd have done a full-on game that was compatible with mobile devices, but also on the Switch and things, like a Forza Need for Speed arcadey game that's not quite Horizon and miles away from the sim stuff, then yeah, they'd be onto something. But
I think you're right. I think it's too casual, isn't it, for a series that prides itself on. Even from what you've said about the Horizon series, it's still a little bit hardcore. It's not.
Yeah, it's there if you need it.
Absolutely, just anybody pick up and play and excel at it. But this just seems ludicrously casual. It's just gone down the route where there is no skill involved at all. In fact, there's nothing to do with driving in it.
No.
And when
when the annoying thing will come for fans, the fact that they've pumped this out, yet Forza 7 has still got numerous issues with it, although we all still race on it. And I don't know about Horizon 4, but
I mean, let's be blunt, this isn't going to be from the same studio, is it?
I wouldn't have thought so.
Don't know.
You know,
I haven't actually checked.
This will be developed by some other jobbing studio, and it's got to be.
Yeah, but why pump the money and the resources into it? Because you're still going to have to outsource it and stuff when you could have done it, added some more content to one of your other games or whatever. Because you're not getting a Forza game at all this year other than this. So this is your Forza for 2019.
Well, maybe that's it. Maybe it's brand awareness, to be cynical and corporate.
Yeah, it could be.
It's weird. I was just trying to find out who's developed it, and everything just says get it from Microsoft. There actually isn't any mention of who's done it, and it's full advertising wise. It's full of Xbox branding, but it's not on the Xbox.
It's developed by a new studio, Electric Square, which is based down the road from Eurogamer in sunny Brighton.
Okay.
Electric Square being some kind of urban slang for a mobile phone, probably.
Oh, yeah.
So it doesn't look the most appealing.
No.
It doesn't sound the most appealing. It's a really, really odd one, isn't it?
It is. And the studio Electric Square, this is literally the only thing they've done.
Right. So there you go. Game Pass content for May.
You're such a Sony fanboy.
He is, and I'm going to tear him a new one in a minute when we get to that news.
How can I be a Sony fanboy because I agree that a really bad-looking mobile racing game that is covered in Xbox branding is not going to appear on the Game Pass at some point?
It's because you're slagging the Game Pass, and you know the Game Pass is actually a good offering.
I never said it wasn't. It doesn't mean they don't put some rubbish on it.
No, you didn't say it wasn't, but you won't say it is because, you'd melt.
I'd love to see that.
It's like the time I made you pick up an Xbox controller and you came out in hives. That said, what are we doing next? I'll let you choose.
Well, actually, I think we stick with Xbox, seeing as we seem to have gone down that route.
Okay. I'm going to let you do the introduction then.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah. So we've also had the announcement that we are getting a new Xbox console this year.
Woohoo!
In July, they're going to release the Xbox One S all digital and done away with the drive completely.
Yeah, it's been rumoured for quite a while that they were going to do a driveless console. To be fair, I don't think it's a bad thing.
Nope.
Because other than the fact that, I use my, I've got both the S and the X, but they've got 4K player in them. So if you did want to watch a physical media film, then you can't. But most people, and me included, I won't play a game sometimes if it involves me getting up and putting a disc in or changing the distance in.
I am totally guilty of that. I am absolutely totally guilty of that.
You cannot say that was most people, though.
Yeah.
Well, it's 2/3 of the people on this podcast.
Yeah.
Because we're a pure representation of the entire globe.
So we're gamers and we're lazy. What's your point?
Yeah. The only thing is, for me, which I still don't, well, I do understand and I don't, but is the fact that digital games are so expensive. Which is a little bit annoying.
I think this is where Game Pass comes into its own.
Yes.
This is the new entry level that's going to sell the Game Pass. I know that I know that Cullen had spoken about, if you included a year's worth of Games Pass with it, it'd be an absolute shoo-in. People would buy it just for that. I think this is going to get people subscribing to it and almost exclusively using that. I'd be interested to see what number of games people who buy this console actually buy if they're subscribed to the Game Pass.
Well,
I suspect the attachment rate probably wouldn't be that high.
You've said sort of broadly along the lines where I was thinking, why are they releasing this? And I think it's a test. It's a test to see whether they can actually go down the route of digital-only media. But
I disagree with you.
It also supports their desire to get the Game Pass out there and get people subscribed.
I disagree with you in one respect. I think you're right in the sense that, yeah, it probably is kind of dipping their toes in that market. I don't think it's where they're going imminently.
No,
not next generation, certainly. But I think this is to get I think this is to get consoles under TVs and to basically market it as, you know, with this in Game Pass, you've got everything you need.
Yeah, I mean, I think potentially, depending on what happens with their development of the xCloud, I think. Are you guys familiar with what a thin client is from the PC world? So it's basically a thin client is not quite the power of a PC, but it literally is just like a dumb terminal that only uses like a remote desktop to get to a server.
Oh, yeah, okay,
to do work.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah,
it's like a quarter of the size, if not smaller. And I wouldn't be surprised if Xbox, depending on how good the xCloud is and what it can produce, is they would just sell a thin client, dumb terminal Xbox that sits on your TV and it literally just goes straight to this service.
Remote streaming, really, rather than actually on the machine as everything there and then.
I mean, that's basically what Apple and Google are planning, you know, with Stadia for Google. That's essentially what they're going to be offering.
And it's what you've got with it's what you've already got with PlayStation Now. A couple of other failed services which got absorbed, didn't they? Was it Gakkai
on Live and stuff like that?
On Live disappeared. But yeah, that is very likely where we will be. I don't know which generation it'll be. I don't know if it'll be one after next, one after that. I'm not convinced that this all digital version is to increase market penetration. I'm not. We're at the point in the console cycles now where you're not a million miles away from saturation, and I don't think it's going to drive that much in the way of incremental sales. I think it's going to sell because I think people will like the idea of not having literally the lazy option, not having to swap discs in and out. You know, you've got everything there that you need. As long as it's got the right size drive on it. Yeah,
it's got a terabyte drive in it.
So it's perfectly placed with that. It's, you know,
and you can put obviously the same as you can do with the PlayStation now. You can put an external hard drive in.
So it's got all the storage it needs, and it's expandable, and it will sell. I can almost see it being almost for those who have already gone kind of that digital route and not really bother with a lot of physical media. I can see it being a replacement if they have anything fail on their current one. And in theory, what's one of the biggest points of failure in these things anyway?
Yeah.
Maybe it's to try and sell an Xbox to PS4 owners who are interested, who've heard about Game Pass, who are interested in it, you know. But it's small. It's really small.
Yeah.
It's great.
There's I think what takes up the most space in any console will be the disc drive.
And I guess the other thing, I suppose the other question, which I think Stuart had posed, was why not the X model? And again, I think that would price it out of the market they're looking for.
That and I don't know whether they've refined that technology enough, because there's a lot of new technology that they've built with the Hovis method, which is their way of cooling it and different things. I don't know whether they're able to, because it's only 2 years old now. Maybe, and I think there's the technology in that's that new that they might struggle to shrink that down for it to pump out the content. That's my
I'll be honest.
theory.
I've got the original Xbox One, the launch model, and it is massive.
Yeah,
right. It's huge. It's ridiculous. And as much as I like the idea of getting an Xbox One X, the car I don't play that platform enough to make the cost worth it. That I'd kind of be tempted with. In a way, because I'd be like, well, I don't own that many disc games. I've got, quite a lot of what I've got are digital anyway, and the Game Pass thing is really intriguing. So even I'm like, maybe.
But from a realistic point of view, yes, you're intrigued, and you mentioned the Game Pass. You're intrigued on that. What's stopping you from getting that on your current machine? Why would you have to go and buy a new machine for it?
Well, genuinely, why? Because I cannot fit my Xbox under my television with everything else, because it is absolutely massive. Genuinely, it is huge. this S All Digital looks like it's about a quarter the size, probably less than that of my launch Xbox One. And that's
because the S itself was smaller, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that massive Xbox One that I bought at launch has got a huge external power brick.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot about
So people do think silly things like that because I'm thinking it.
Yeah, I guess if you're an early adopter to the Xbox, then it's a logical step, especially if you don't buy that much physical media. And like yourself, Andy, if some of the games that you've got are probably fairly old now, maybe. So you probably be able to pick them up digitally fairly cheap and maybe break even if you traded them in, maybe.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
So yeah, especially if you got them on a sale. And the other thing that they announced, so this is on Inside Xbox that they do, I think it's once every other month or something like that, is that they're doing an ultimate Xbox Live service subscription is the word I was looking for. So you get the Xbox Live Gold and you get the Game Pass in one subscription.
Yes, they did, didn't they? They were going to combine the both of them, but you could only buy them. Was it a maximum of 3 months? You can't do a year.
I don't know.
It's
if
limited.
I'm honest, I missed
think it's
some of the
limited on time
stuff.
from what I was reading because it was that genuine comments from a lot of people saying, well, actually, I'd be straight in on this if it was a year subscription. Yeah. I think it's good value and you'll still save some money doing it. It's either monthly or quarterly. You can do it. It might only be monthly that you can do it, but there's still a saving on it because it's like $15 or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they reckon it'll be about 15 quid. So there's still a saving. But actually, why are they not saying immediately just tie people in for a year?
Yeah, it's like gym membership. You think they'd be wanting to take the money up front?
Yeah.
It's almost as if they've got a few other tricks up their sleeve come E3.
It might, to be honest, it might just simply be that they've actually learned enough that people because you can pay for it monthly at the moment, can't you, on your Game Pass?
Yeah.
Yeah. It might be just people have decided they only get it in the months when there's games that they're interested in. They want to provide that flexibility. Some people will quite rightly pay outright for a year and take whatever comes regardless. And then others might just be interested in specific titles and think, well, I'll do this month, but I'm going to skip next month. Maybe it's just flexibility.
This will sound really daft, but I don't know if I've actually paid for the Game Pass yet.
Did you just turn it on and leave it on or renew?
No. So they, not last EGX, the EGX before, they were giving out free codes to it.
Yeah.
And because I was in the queue, and I think I met AC Bongos there, so he just gave me there's a few of us that met him. Just gave us like a handful of codes. So I think I had like 3 or 4 codes then. And then because I'm part of the insider program, I've done a few surveys and things, and they've sent me some other codes, and and I think I've had them when I've brought certain editions, or I think I got one when I got my X as well.
So it's just worked out that you just continually adding your time.
I was going to say, that's really good value.
I think I'll be running out soon. It is. But yeah, so I think I may have paid for a month or so, but I mean, even at the price, I'm happy to pay for it. It's just happens that I've had various codes and things, but it's interesting to see because isn't Xbox the only console people at E3?
No, Nintendo were there.
Oh, they are there?
Yeah. They've got a whole website about their E3 presence in 2019 at E3.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
So, no, answer, Ali, no, Xbox are not there on their own this year.
No.
From a console point of view, Nintendo are there.
But I know we're not doing predictions yet, but I have a feeling that Nintendo will turn up at Xboxes or Xbox will turn up at Nintendo's.
There you go. Well, don't forget to tune in June when we do our E3 predictions podcast, which we normally... Actually, no, we normally don't bother editing that one, do we?
No. I think actually we might have to...
leave that one till September.
We might have to live broadcast that one, then it doesn't matter if we don't edit it.
Oh, that's what a good idea.
At least one person would have heard it then.
Yeah, so that's Xbox and their excitingness. So
interesting that there's a new hardware announcement and they're actually doing something a little bit different. Be interesting to see how it does, because I think that maybe you're right, might not shape next generation, but I think it could shape next generation and a half.
It could just be the wind like the PSP Go though, and it not come to it.
Yes, it could be. It could be.
Yeah.
We'll have to
I
wait and
wonder
see.
do you think they'd end up selling, like they did for the HD DVD? Do you think they'd end up selling like a external plug-in drive? Like in the future, if they just went completely driveless, but here's one you can have.
I would like to think that they've learnt from Kinect and that no, they will not do something like that, but never rule it out.
Who buys PC games on disc these days anyway?
Well, exactly.
I don't know where you'd go to buy one on disc.
I can't remember who it was. Somebody's talking about something we're going to move on to, but somebody had said, "Oh, well, you're an idiot if you buy a console because you're locked into that particular network, that particular that gateway, I suppose, as it were." But then, PC gamers are kind of religiously defending Steam Store, and
yeah,
I don't know. Anyway,
yeah,
I don't know. Right. Speaking of that, I think that's the next thing.
So if we're talking new consoles, then Sony have announced this week the beginning bits of information, because in fairness, there still isn't huge amounts out there, but they have officially confirmed the PS5. They have said it's not coming this year, and they've given an indication of some of the features.
They also haven't confirmed it's going to be called the PS5.
No, very true.
Which I'm really hoping they mess with Vita owners and call it the PSV. Myself included in that.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point. We'll have to see what we do, because no code names or anything for this one. It's just the next generation of PlayStation. And they're very keen to shout that it will be backwards compatible with PS4, that it will have a disc drive, which is quite weird given that their announcement came before the Xbox One S all digital. It's like they knew somebody was going to say that. And then they gave out some graphic specs and speeds and other bits and pieces that real tech nerds are interested in, but the rest of us probably not massively bothered until we see what games are coming and what they look like. Because ultimately that's what we want, isn't it? We want some nice games that look nice on new shiny hardware. But interestingly, they have said it's all going to be SSD drives. And whether this is a genuine commitment or not, I'm not entirely sure. But have they said no loading times?
I don't.
They can't.
They can't.
They can't.
They just can't.
No, I don't think they can. I don't know. It depends
That's
what context they're meaning on that. But I think the ambition is shorter loading times. But I can't see it being 0. But anyway, it's a big announcement. It's confirming that they are going to bring a next generation, and more than likely next year.
So I mean, if they implement ray tracing well, and I think it might not be something that we see, immediately well implemented in games. It'd be nice if we did, but what it's like when you get 2 or 3 years into the next hardware iteration and developers really start learning how to use the hardware and everything. I think
there's certain engines now which are capable of it as long as you've got the hardware. 4A's engine for Metro Exodus can do it, but you do need some pretty clever and high-end tech to do it and to get the benefit of it. But you're right, it's going to be down to developers, isn't it? You can chuck all the tools out there and all the fancy toys. It's just what they can do with it.
Yeah, I think AK's very ambitious. It seems like they're trying to push some of their own other products,
as they've always done.
And stuff.
There's no surprise.
I mean, some people haven't even got a 4K TV yet. Some people haven't even adopted that technology. There are arguments and some experiments that have happened to say that I think it's after 3 meters that I struggle to process 4K, let alone 8K.
Right. Well,
it depends. It depends on the size of your screen as well. So
yes.
it's not quite as simple.
So
as that,
forgetting 4K and 8K, our own Mr. Brown did a lovely technical piece of analysis a fair few years ago on at what distance you stop to even recognise 720 and 1080.
Oh.
Yeah, it's now 4K comes with a lot of the HDR standards and things like that, which make them vibrancy in the picture and the level of detail, obviously. But you're right, there are trade-offs for anything.
I think that move in itself is incredibly ballsy, because I mean, we had the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox. Granted, there was an S in between that one for Xbox, but then we got the X and the Pro that have really started to push the resolution and things. And like you say, we need to be, I'd say, another couple of years into it for developers. If developers started to say, right, this game is only going to work on the PlayStation 4 Pro and the Xbox One X, we're sorry, but it's going to look absolutely mint on these consoles. It'll run smooth as a button and realism, you haven't seen it yet until you've played it on these consoles or something like that, and really high spec PC that can do it. But we're nowhere near that. You look at some of the games towards the end of the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360, and you're like, wow, they look amazing.
I don't know if it can do ray tracing at high frame rates in 4K. That is pretty impressive.
Oh yeah,
that's high end stuff.
Yeah, but I just don't know if we're ready for another console yet.
I don't know. It's been 6 years, isn't it?
Yeah, it's hitting the window for a new batch. I think it doesn't feel like it because we've had the interim jumps, and I think that's made it feel like a much shorter cycle. But we are approaching that turning point, and the current generation will remain for another 3-4 years afterwards. But you'll see that transition over, or maybe they may even stay longer this time. Like I said, both key manufacturers are talking backwards compatibility, making that all important. One of the big things they've said about the next PlayStation console, it'll be compatible with the current VR kit, which is good news for me because I have wondered if I move to another generation, am I going to lose that and I'm going to have to reinvest because I don't want to do that. But actually, they're saying, nope, that'll still work. All your PS4 stuff will still work. Whether the new stuff will work with the old VR is another point entirely. But they're keen to keep that going and keep the machines and technology in use.
It also sounds like they're going to include all the cloud gaming stuff, straight in the box and
so have the now stuff already there and.
Yeah, I guess that'll be more front and center than it is now.
Yeah, because it is already there, but they don't push it, which is good. Well, it's good to a degree. You don't really want some of the things pushing if you're not interested in it.
Yeah, I thought the 3D sound thing was a bit bizarre. I understand 3D sound, but why not just go for Atmos or DTS or?
I'm assuming it will still have DTS and digital. Whether it has Atmos it'll be a question that comes over time. But the 3D audio, I imagine, will work better for people playing on headphones and the like.
Yeah, which has always been there. But I know you can do it through surround sound and things like that. But I don't know. It just seemed a bit of a random thing to put. We've got 3D sound because if they're changing technology a little bit, then
serious question. Have you used the 3D audio in VR?
No,
right. It's very different. It is actually very directional, and can be quite impressive when it's implemented properly. It's different to surround sound, and I think that's probably where they're coming at it from. That 3D audio will be implemented not just in VR,
but that relies on developers developing for it
or using the requisite plug-in software.
Yeah, and that kind of audio recording equipment is becoming more and more standard nowadays. In fact, like Zoom have just quite recently, about a year ago, produced a little unit about so big. He makes a hand gesture for an audio podcast that will do proper 3D audio recordings that you can then interpolate on on your computer afterwards. So it's becoming the standard way of recording for a lot of media now.
Oh, okay. So yeah, just seemed a bit. If you're not in the know, because you're an audio geek. Well, both of you are audio geeks. You wouldn't know that. And for me, it just seemed a bit like, well, that's a bit of a random statement because 3D audio has been around for years. Yeah,
I suppose it's that thing with 7.1 though. It splits the signal into the different channels, the 7.1 channels, whereas I think the 3D audio is a closer facsimile to how your actual hearing works.
So cool. On the whole, it's positive news. I think the real issue is it's just really an interview in a magazine. It's not an official reveal. It's not tons of stuff, and we're not seeing any games. We're not seeing any concrete details. And what we're really interested in is what we're going to be playing on it. And are we going to have to wait till this comes out to see some of the titles that are in development? Because we've always wondered, is Death Stranding a PS4 game? Is The Last of Us 2 a PS4 game? Are we going to have to wait till next gen for the Ghosts of Tsushima? All of that stuff. And we don't have any of that info. It is just a series of quite high-ish level tech specs and features without really getting into anything. We've not seen what it looks like. It's a bit a bit of an unknown still, I think, and that's why it's quite hard to really talk in huge enthusiastic leaps and bounds about it. Because at least with the One S all digital, you've got pictures of it and you can see it, and you know it's going to be here in 3 months' time.
Yeah.
Whereas the other one is, well, we know it's in development. That's not a surprise. It's going to be better than the current generation. That's not a surprise. What else are you going to tell us?
I mean, also, Sony are kind of starting to show their hand now. So what are Microsoft going to do with that?
Nothing. They probably won't, because I don't know. I have a feeling that there was this generation, there was that little schoolyard fight between the two of them when this whole I'll try not to get angry about this, for the gamers thing kicked off.
But Ali, they were for the gamers.
They weren't
for the media centre enthusiasts.
Yeah, well, it's fine for me. We're going to have a fight in a minute.
You're as easy to wind up as Cullen is.
So, I will bite. But Sony seem to have carried this banter on, and Xbox just aren't biting anymore. They're just like, oh, whatever.
I don't think they've carried anything on. They've announced what they've said. Xbox are going to do what they're going to do because they're already well into development. At this stage, both companies are massively in bed with chip manufacturers with specs on what they're doing. Whatever they announce now is not going to really drastically affect the overall power of the console that's coming. It might make them think about features, but I even don't think so. They've both got their own strategies. You've got to have faith in your strategy.
Yeah, but maybe when Xbox do it, it might be an actual announcement rather than just a throwaway comment about what's coming. Maybe. Yeah,
it might well be.
Meow, pussycat.
Here's a question for you, Matt, before we move on to the next topic. Regardless of obviously what happens and stuff, are you going to be a day one adopter, or has this generation put you off a little bit enough for you to maybe wait a few months?
No, I'll probably be day one. I probably will, because I want the new games. It'll be the new exciting stuff to play. If they're releasing the new console and just telling us, oh well, you've got all the same games that are on the PS4, then there'll be no point in buying it. But if there's new games that are not going to be cross-generational, then that's going to be what sells me on it.
Yeah, if the launch lineup is like a new Killzone game, then I'm not going to be an early adopter on this one.
It'll be Gran Turismo, maybe. But then when you say launch title, that's got a 3-year window.
Yeah, they've never got a title ready for launch, unless it was a...
Pull off. There's no chance that it'll be Gran Turismo.
Unless it's a prologue.
So it's interesting you say that, Matt.
I will be, because it's that new and different gaming experience. That's what we'll be after.
Fanboy.
So you are sat there telling me that the next Xbox, assuming new and different games launch on that you're not going to be a day one adopter?
Unless,
in fact, are you telling me for the next PlayStation you're not going to be a day one adopter?
That wasn't for this PlayStation.
It doesn't mean that you won't for the next one.
No, I won't get it day one PlayStation, and I'll stick to that. The only reason why I would get the new Xbox is if I had the cash, I would get it day one. But I would wait, and unless Forza's on it day one, I would wait.
Yeah.
Or a game that I must play. But then I got my fingers burnt with Watch Dogs last time, so in more ways than one.
I've been a bit cautious then.
Yeah, because that looked amazing. I was like, oh, this is going to be amazing. And then, I pre-order it and then delayed it.
Yeah.
You wait. We'll get past E3. We'll get towards the back end of the year. What is it? When does Sony normally do their big meeting?
It's
September.
like October. It's usually about October time in Paris.
September, October time, isn't it? Yeah. So we'll get September, October, and then they'll say that GTA 6 is going to be an exclusive.
Yeah. Yes, please.
And Ali might not be a day one purchaser, but day two is a distinct possibility.
No, it would be day one. I'd pre-order it.
It's both live or die by their software. That's what it doesn't matter. No matter how good your specs are, if you've not got the games to play, then people are not coming to you. Simple as. Doesn't matter how bad your specs are. I mean, in comparison to the Switch, people are there because of the software in the games.
Yeah.
Don't care about the power of it. It's
just got
not
folders on that now. There's an update.
Ooh.
You can actually put your games into folders.
Nice.
Yeah, they're catching up.
Well, that's my evening sorted.
He loves a good sort.
I do like to organise my games. Right, speaking of games.
Yeah, we ought to talk about a game that's been an awful lot of time on hardware. I hope whoever's editing this has trimmed that down a little bit.
Fat Mad Scoop, Crooked Glen.
Right, so apologies for the sudden change in quality. This is the point in the podcast where Matt ran out of disk space on his audio recorder.
Done.
So the last little bit of news is the new Star Wars game, which had a little bit of a trailer and a bit of news about it, which is Star Wars: The Fallen Order from EA, which was released at Star Wars Celebration, which I didn't realise how much of a massive event that is.
Oh God, it's huge, isn't it?
It's over 5 floors or something crazy, and 4 or 5 days.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
relented because they kicked it off with the Rise of Skywalker trailer, didn't they?
No,
And
that
then-
was that the second day? I think that wasn't the first day.
Was it the Friday that came out, and then the Fallen Order was the Jedi Fallen Order's trailer was Saturday, wasn't it? And then loads of news and content. Yeah, I had no idea it was that big.
Yeah, no.
I was still slightly disappointed it's not actually done on May the 4th.
Yeah, which is bizarre.
Maybe they couldn't get the building. I don't know. But anyway, yes, massive event, but we did get some details, didn't we, of the new thing from Respawn.
Yeah.
Go on, thoughts from the totally CG non-gameplay trailer that we've seen.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, isn't it? It looks really interesting, and I think it's the kind of Battlefront had the that's what that was all about, and I think that's what most Star Wars games should live and die on is the story. I think a lot of fans, a lot of people will be quite forgiving of the presentation if it is a really gripping saga.
Yeah.
I think you're right. Yeah.
And the setup looks great. The idea of a repressed people trying to hide their existence from the rest of the galaxy, just mingling along, getting along with their day-to-day work in the Empire, trying to hide the fact they're not chock full of midichlorians looks interesting.
Yeah, it does. The trailer's lovely and cinematic. It's got that almost that sort of epic scale to it, even though it's quite, it doesn't show you exactly where it is and what's going on, but it just has the right feel, and that's tip number one, isn't it? It feels like Star Wars.
Yeah. I mean, some of it's not hard to do because as long as you've got the right sound effects and it looks okay, then you're halfway there. I hope it's kind of going back to the old days of like Jedi Knight and Knights of the Old Republic and stuff like that. It looks like they're hopefully hitting the nail on the head, but like you say, we've not really seen any, or we haven't seen any gameplay from it, and it's out on the 15th of November.
Yeah.
So-
the only thing that made me worry a little bit is there's a section of video where it shows him wall running, and I did just look at it and thought this better not be Titanfall 3.
Well, it's Respawn, isn't it?
Titan Fallen Order.
It'll be interesting. I guess we'll see more at E3. And they have said that there's no microtransactions, there's no multiplayer.
This is
It's
brilliant examples of a complete turnaround in philosophy, isn't it? It's single player only. There'll be no microtransactions. We're focusing on the story. You're going to love it. By the way, 2 years ago, we canned that single player only, no microtransactions, story driven Star Wars game.
Yep.
Yes, Amy Hennig's had a few things to say over the last few days, hasn't she, about that?
I kind of hope this is EA's Ubisoft moment. You know, that point at which Ubisoft went from being potentially the most evil company in the world to, you know, a company that actually puts out decent games, listens to people, tries to actually, you know, make incremental developments and not just churn out the same thing time after time after time. And, you know, okay, they'll find their way of shoeing in the games as a service thing and everything else. But I hope this is EA's point where somebody has kind of gone, yeah, we've been a bit dickish, haven't we?
You know what it is.
You know, and I hope this isn't just a cynical, like, you know, I hope this isn't just paying lip service to the fans. I hope this is genuinely going to be something good and mark the start of a series of games of this type with EA, you know, where they can start to diversify a bit more.
I think it was the phone call from Disney with Battlefront 2. I think that's probably what's done it. So you are destroying our license. Get it right, or it's coming away.
Yeah.
I think there's been a huge amount of pressure from that side to do it justice and do something worthwhile with it. And hopefully, we do know the guys at Respawn have got the skills to produce a good story. They've got a lot of pedigree, and they'll give something that's, you know, got a lot of action in it and great fun to play. Yeah. So let's just hope it is right.
I think what a lot of developers are latching onto now is, if you want to make money quick and keep the kids happy, do a free-to-play battle royale game with microtransactions, and they'll lap it up. And then you can just push all your development over there to do proper games. Not saying that they aren't proper games, but they're not. And then we can get some decent games to play while other kids are playing other stuff that we don't care about.
That's it. The rake it in on the FIFA.
Yeah.
Spend the spoils.
FIFA, Apex, and all that rubbish.
Yeah. But then the quality single player games still sell.
Yeah.
You know, you just have to make them.
Yeah. I think, like you say, though, I think they had to put something like this out. And I'm sure that the gameplay will be fine, or I'm hoping the gameplay is going to be fine.
I don't think there's going to be a problem with the gameplay. We think of the studio and what they've done. There isn't going to be an issue.
Yeah. I think this was last chance saloon. I think if they did anything to mess this up, that would be it, and the license would go to whoever. Obviously, they keep shooting down the rumors that the LucasArts game studio is back. Is it not back?
Yeah, that's an interesting one, isn't it? Because there's a possibility that once the 5 games are done,
is that what they've got the license for? 5 games.
I thought the license for 5 games. I might be.
Can't remember.
I'm sure we've had a conversation. Anyway, whatever the deal is, when it's done, I think it might be back to in-house LucasArts.
But I don't know why they don't do the Games Workshop philosophy and just say, look, make what you want, and for every 1 in 5 is good, then sweet.
I suppose that's it though. Disney don't want to dilute the brand, do they?
Yeah,
they want tight control over it, don't they? They want saying everything. They've expressed that we're deciding what's canon, what's not. They are tightly managing it.
They know where the money's coming from at the minute. They've had a few acquisitions, which Star Wars was probably the start of that, and then Marvel. And bizarrely, I read this is different sidetracks. This is films, but I read that the Marvel films have made them 18 billion so far.
You know, funnily enough, I actually expected it to be more than that.
Yeah, that's it was on Wikipedia, so it's probably more. And obviously, you've still got Captain Marvel still doing stuff, and that's not including Endgame, which isn't out yet.
Yeah, and there'll be a boost on all of them when Endgame comes out as well.
Yeah.
Right. Well, Thanks for joining us for our discussion about the Marvel Extended Universe. And
that and Game of Thrones, you've got to get the buzzwords in.
Right, I can officially tag those now when I put this out.
You only have to listen to 19 minutes of gaming chat to get to it.
Yeah.
I'm surprised we've not had a decent Game of Thrones game, to be fair. I'm surprised there hasn't been. I know you've had a.
The
this goes
Telltale,
completely
the
off topic,
Telltale
but-
one wasn't bad.
Yeah,
because it
but
tied
that's-
in story wise. The RPG one bombed because
Yeah.
I think it was a bit too low budget, and I think that's probably the reason for not a decent game. They put those things into development before the show hits the critical mass that it's at now.
I've never seen it.
What?
No, I've got no interest in watching it either.
It's got boobs in it.
It's boring.
Do you watch it, Matt?
That's just lost as subscribers as that one, hasn't it? I think I saw the first series before it got shown here because I had a mate who used to get all this stuff illegally.
Oh, Dodgy
That's
Dave.
Such typical Matt Holt, isn't it? Oh, I read the books first and I saw the TV series before anybody else. I'm so much cooler than you.
Not before anybody else, but before it was broadcast in the UK.
I liked it before it was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly it, actually.
Well, I've been to Winterfell, so suck it.
It literally means nothing to me. I quite want to go to that place where they film Balamori.
All right, thanks for listening, and goodbye.
Right.